Chef Cell was recorded on a cell phone in front of a fake audience.
Hey guys, Chef Cell right here. Still got it. Hello, fake audience. I know you're not even here. I know, you're on the desktop of my computer. Well, get over yourselves. Hello, everybody else. Hello, YouTube. And hello, of course, Facebook. Welcome to Chef Cell's crazy cooking show. Why are we crazy? Because it's me. Here we go. We're in the M's now, as in Mississippi, going around the country. 50 most Googled recipes in the United States of America. What does Mississippi want? I will give you a hint. Just a hint. It's got Mississippi in the name. You're right, Mississippi mud pie. But you know what I do? I take the most Googled and I add a couple of little interesting things. It, stays in the realm. It's a new word that I made up. No? Listen to this. It's a red velvet Mississippi mud pie with a flourless red velvet cake, a red velvet pudding, it's all in layers, right? An Oreo cookie crust, and a cream cheese whipped cream topping. Let's get cracking. You can do your part right here, okay? And save a starving chef somewhere in the world. Right there, boom. Subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get notified. Every week to 10 days, we do another one. I can't believe we're in the M's already. I'm telling you, it's going so fast. All right, here we go, quickly. I've done this before on our little trip. I think another state needed something like this. It's an Oreo cookie crust. It's just Oreo cookies and butter. I mean, you can do this, all right? This is between 35 and 40 Oreo cookies. I crumbled them up. I threw them in here. I'm gonna pulse it until it becomes granulated. Don't say, oh, but there's cream in there. We have cream in there. It's not going to be... It's okay. It's mostly dust, which would be the cracker part. Yes, there are crackers in these cookies. So, we have them in here. I have about 6 to 8 tablespoons of melted butter. It's between 1/4 and 1/2 cup. I may use it all. I may not. You've seen me do this before. You don't want it to be too wet as you be pouring it in there. I'm in South Carolina now. This is how we talk. All right. But you don't want it to be too dry either. So it's going to be, that's the only tricky part of this whole thing, but it will take you some time. There's a lot of steps in this thing, so you got to clear, not too much time, 1, maybe 2 weeks, you'll be done. It will take you a while. It'll take you like most of your day. If you want to do it on a weekend, which is great. The reason why it takes so long is because you have to, every time you do something, you have to refrigerate it or freeze it, so you put the next layer in, it doesn't melt, all right? All right, so I'm going to start pulsing these cookies. Okay. I mean, you just want it to come together like some sort of dust, see? That's all it is. All right, so that's done. Now, I'm going to say this is the difficult part, but once you do this a couple of times in your life, you will see that it's really not. We're going to keep it running. And pour that in, slowly, until it comes together, then stop. All right, see? Kind of like a snowball, like I always say, right? But then when you pinch it, it kind of crumbles apart. Perfect. And you know what? If you go too far with the butter, stop it, put some more cookies in. If you go too slow, put a little more butter in. You'll get it right. You just don't want it to be muddy and wet and shiny. If it's shiny, you went too far. Okay? Springform pan, 9-inch. This might be a little bit bigger. If you're doing a 9-inch, 30, 35 cookies. If you have a little bit bigger, 1. If you have a little bit bigger one, you want to get Anyway, if you have a little bit bigger, add about 5 cookies, okay? I think I've gone over all this stuff enough. Non-stick, please, on that. And also, I sprayed some of this Baker's Pam, I call it. It's got a little bit of flour in the oil. You spray it, parchment paper here. And another thing is, you don't have to make this a science project or an art project, just measuring the thing and then cutting out a perfect circle and putting the paper in there. Just stick it over the thing, put that thing in, click it, and then cut it around. Doesn't have to be perfect. Plus, this is a nice little handle if you have a lip and you have to pull the cake out. I am so smart. Wow. Nobody laughed. That's either good or bad. All right, so that's ready. I'm gonna move this up front so you can see it. Clean off a little bit. Put this here. And just get this in there. Get it in there. You wanna aim for the middle, aim for the center if you can. Because then as you press it down and push it towards the sides, it won't favor any of the sides, you know what I mean? It'll go up evenly. You'll see what I mean when you do it. And I spread it around. Now I'm just going to push down from the center, a little more in there. And let's see how she blows. Oh. You know, like there she blows, that's what I meant. Boy, you guys are rough. All right, so I'm pushing it down, that's all. And you don't have to go all the way up. The sides on this. Halfway is good, 3/4 is good. And there we go. See? Not that bad. And if you're on a roll with your cooking lately, it'll even be better than this. I haven't been on a roll lately, and as you know, you can get into a slump like baseball. But this works. This works. See, it's half to 3/4 up the sides. Pretty even. It's not going like way up and way down. So you're okay. All right, so once this preheats, it's almost there. I'm gonna put it in, keep my eye on it, and then I'm gonna refrigerate it for about an hour, hour and a half. Okay, you just don't want the next layer to melt when it goes in there. You have to cool it off is what I'm saying. So we will be back. See, that wasn't hard. Yeah, have it over here. Here's my crust, all cooled down, ready to go. And if you don't want to refrigerate the crust, just make sure you leave it out until it's room temp. It's not a big deal. A lot of people like to refrigerate it before you bake it. I don't see the need, but you can do that too. Refrigerate it for a half hour if you want. Now, 4 tablespoons unsalted butter, and we have 4 to 5 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate morsels. Microwave it. 10 seconds, mix. 10 seconds, mix. Until she's melted on you, okay? Don't go crazy. You don't want a bubbling cauldron of chocolate and until it's melted and smooth, okay? So let's do that. You see? Melted and smooth. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, boy, oh boy. Somebody give me a straw. All right, put that aside. I'm gonna keep it right here where I'm on 350 on the oven. I moved it up. I might have told you that. That's to bake this flourless cake. And it's kind of warm here, so I'm gonna keep it warm because I have other things to do right here. Okay, I separated 6 eggs. They are right here, okay? And in here, I have 1/4 teaspoon of, I use kosher salt, okay? A tablespoon of red food coloring. Yeah. And I also have a tablespoon of vanilla extract and a teaspoon of regular white vinegar. That's fine, all right? And I told you I have these separated 6 eggs. See? Room temperature on those eggs, please. It makes them easier to separate, and also we're going to be fluffing up some egg whites, so it makes them easier to fluff up, right? In my mixer, you can use a hand mixer if you want. We have a whisk attachment on this. My 6 egg yolks have gone in here into this bowl. And we're going to beat this for 5 minutes until it pales up on you, Johnny. It's going to take a little bit of a while. Let that bright yellow turn a little dull. I'll show you. About 5 minutes, all right? Start off on a slow speed, get everything mixed, and then move it up to like a medium, okay? And then let it go. Let it go. Do other things. Okay, about halfway through, drop the little bowl here. But I dropped a bowl or 2 in my day. And get those things off the side, all right? And then put her back on. Let her go. You can do this, maybe every 2 or 3 minutes. It's about 4 or 5 minutes. and it gets to be this color. I'll do it fast because it's going to slide down the thing and you won't see it. Ready? That color. Yeah. Gets that color. Right there, see? And it'll almost double in volume too. You're putting air in this thing. Remember, there's no, I didn't hear anybody talk about baking powder or baking soda. And back in this KitchenAid here, I have the whisk back. And we're gonna put it on medium. I'm gonna add this food coloring and vinegar and all that stuff that we put together. With that vanilla and salt right in. All right, give this butter and chocolate conglomeration a quick mix and get that in there too. All right, I've moved my red mixture right here into this bowl. Put it aside, clean out the bowl, put it back. And now we have our 6 room temperature egg whites. Put them in, just put them in. We're gonna whip these up into soft peaks. I think you know what they are, right? They're peaks that are not hard. And we're gonna start out here at about medium. And then when you see little bubbles forming, that's like the base. Then move it up and then wait till your peaks happen. But in between there, once you see that base happening, and you get a little bit of a, you know, you get a whipped cream feel coming out of that bowl. Put a 1/4 cup table sugar in there, and then whip the heck out of it. And that's it for that thing. And then we're gonna mix it together with, it's kind of like making a mousse, right? With the red, all right? So let's do each step as we go and see what happens. And if you haven't folded, I'm not talking about your underpants. If you haven't folded, I will show you the technique, especially now because it's very important. This is going to give you the rise, okay, when you bake this thing. So give me about a cup, about that much, see? And fold it in. Fold it in to this, like I said, the red mixture. To start, cut it in the middle, then fold it on top of itself. Do not ever, ever mix it. Don't give me any of that. I'll come looking for you. All right, so let me do this, and then when it gets kind of mixed and the streaks are just about gone, you can add the rest of it. But this is how we start it. Just remember, these bubbles are your life right now, or something. Now that is one fluffy, flourless cake batter. Don't handle it too much. Don't be like me and make a big deal out of it. Pour it right into this crust, which is now totally cool, I hope. Stick it right up here. All right, I have poured it in here. I'm not going to bang it on the counter, but I will bring it over to show you and get it right into that oven, all right? Give me 35 minutes in here. Check it. Go another 5 at a time. What you're looking for is pretty much a little more than half of the outside edges to be a little bit firm, but jiggling in the middle is okay. All right, it's like almost like a cheesecake. You're going to take it out, cool it, room temperature, and then refrigerate it for at least 3 hours. I told you this is taking some time, all right? Why don't you do some laundry, you know? I could use some myself. Or 1.5 hours in the freezer, whichever you feel like doing. I'd go with the fridge. I'm not going to say nature. All right, let nature take care of it a little bit better than freeze colding it, all right? So let that go in there, and then we're gonna start talking about the pudding part. We have 2 more layers to go, so, you know, hang in there. Well, we got a little weather out there, Johnny. Whew. South Carolina, another storm. Anyway, are we on? Oh yeah, okay. So the flourless, this is like a review, it's like school. The flourless cake, red velvet cake, is in the fridge. It's been in there for hours. You can keep it in there overnight if you want. It's sunk a little, but you have to expect that, but that's what the pudding's for, which we're gonna make now, a red velvet pudding, okay? It covers all up the extremities, but it's worth it because it's nice and fluffy. You'll see, you'll see. I'm gonna take it out and show you, obviously. So we're gonna make this and pour it over there after we cool this down. But what this is like I said, it's a red velvet pudding. Start out with a medium saucepan, all right? Or we call it a pot here in Earth. And I have stuff ready to whisk together. It's all powder. This is the dry, okay? Half a cup of sugar, quarter cup each of cocoa powder and cornstarch, and a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, kosher salt, all right? So we got this here, and we're gonna get a whisk out. Small one's good. And this is the kind of thing, when you make this, you gotta keep it moving, or she sticks to the bottom of the pan, you gotta start over, you know, and then you get in a fight with your spouse, and you know, they say, why are you even doing this to begin with? You know, you should be outside mowing the lawn or something. Escalation, right? So let's be the de-escalation. The de-escalation, this is the de-escalation of that whole thing. All right, so I whisk this together. It's looking good. And now over here, I have other stuff. 1.5 cups of whole milk, 1 cup buttermilk, all right? Let's just pour this in there. We have no heat yet, but we're doing all the mixing here in this pot just to make it easier clean up and all that kind of stuff. And it's gonna form kind of like a paste. Very thick paste. And there we go. And now we got our egg yolks, 4 of them. 4 of them. Go in here. Break them up. And a little trick to get the rest of them out because they like to stick. I did Pam it, but they're still sticking a little. So you just put a little bit of this liquid in there and it kind of washes it out, you know, like a flood, like the big flood of 1872. I saw it. Something. All right. Make sure that's mixed good. These powders, sometimes they take a while. And it's going to thicken up on you as you heat it. So let's get it hot, medium heat. We're going to boil it for about 45 seconds. So after this thickens, after that minute, we let it bubble a little bit. Immediately pour it into a bowl, which you should have ready. And I don't. I'll make some magic. I'll be right back. Boom. See? It's all in the editing. So keep this on hand. You're going to put that in there because you need the heat of that mixture for these 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And we have 1.5 tablespoons of more red coloring, red food coloring, red dye, whatever you want to call it, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So that's all going to go into this bowl housing the hot liquid. It houses it. All right. All right, it started to bubble on me. That means it's ready to get really thick, and it's happening already. And I tried a strainer over this bowl just in case sometimes the cocoa powder doesn't dissolve. You don't want bits of that in your perfect pie cake thingy that you're making. Now it looks like a pudding. So I'm going to keep it going another maybe 30 seconds, and then the transfer will take place. And here we go. Let's put that off so I don't singe the hairs off my arm for the millionth time. And again, you don't have to do this mesh strainer here if you don't want to, but I saw a couple of things in there that aren't going to dissolve. It's just kind of solidified cocoa powder and things like that. I'm a perfectionist. You don't have to be, but I'd be a perfectionist for yo. Hey. All right, let's get this in here, and let's move quick to get this in the pot, in the bowl, whatever. Just push it through. And like I said, let's get this butter in here, the 3 tablespoons, while it's searing hot. That's in. You're cool with that, right? And now this mixture, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Whew, baby. And, and 1.5 tablespoons of this red food coloring, and I'm really glad we're done with the red food coloring. As you will see, you got to be really, really careful because it will splatter. And again, it's Divorce City, dude. All right, so let's mix this around. And I'm going to let this cool to room temperature after it's combined and very, very smooth. I'm going to show it to you. Butter's melting, looking good. And again, be careful with this dye because it gets to places that you think it's not getting, and then you get yelled at. Okay. Now I'm switching back to the spatula to get everything off the sides. Let this cool to room temperature, and then we're going to refrigerate it for about 3 hours, or you can freeze it for an hour and a half. Why are we doing that? Because you're going to pour it over egg whites that have been cooked and they're very delicate, right? That's why I want to keep them in the refrigerator as long as possible, because if there's any hint of warmth in this when you pour it on there, the cake's just going to go splat underneath, and it's very weak. So I'm going to show you another little trick that I always use when it comes to puddings and things that have to stay solid almost, especially when you have a pie so it doesn't go bleh, right? Very simple. While I was doing all this stuff, I have very cold 1 tablespoon of water. Very cold 1 tablespoon of water. Sprinkle over that. You know, you can put it in there maybe halfway through, maybe 5-10 minutes. So consider it like an insurance policy of firmness. A lot of guys know what I'm talking about. Cheap, cheap, cheap. So you don't get that skin that they all talk about. Remember when Grandma used to make the pudding? And it was always that skin, and she didn't care. You gotta care. Okay, sorry Grandma, wherever you are. So this is kind of like a push down that I do. Oh, you know what? Let me show it to you. Yeah. My director's here saying, show it, show it. Oh, thank you, Hazel. See? That's it. It's almost puddingized already, so just let it cool off. And we're gonna get a push down of this plastic wrap here all the way down. Let it touch the surface. It's okay, because you don't want that skin. And then she cools slightly. We add the gelatin and water, and then refrigerate it. And then I'm gonna be back to make the final frontier, which will be cream cheese whipped cream topping. Let's say it again. Cream cheese whipped cream topping. This is sick. A cold bowl, had it in the fridge about an hour. Cold whisk attachment. You can use a hand mixer too. Just make sure those little smoky things are cold. And pretty straightforward. Room temperature, 6 ounces, cream cheese. Pretty easy, right? Whole thing is 8, so you slice it up and you take 6 chunks out of it. Pretty easy stuff. This is all easy stuff. All right? So I'm going to put this cream cheese first in the bowl, which is a little counterintuitive for all you bakists out there. Because usually what you want to do is add whatever you're going to add to the whipped cream last, but we're going to do this in the reverse order. So we have the cream cheese in there. We have some sugar, 3 tablespoons, regular white sugar. And I'm going to start this, I'm going to pour this in. I'm going to start this process by hand first, because it's very soft, so you can really just do this with a regular whisk, just to get it started. All right, so I just kind of mashed it up, got some air in it, about 2 minutes, that's all. Or if you're going to put it in here, do that for 2 minutes, whatever you want to do. All right, get our attachments in here. Now remember, I have my pudding still in the freezer. All right, let's get this going. 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream, heavy cream, whatever you can find. And just a little bit to start, so you can pull it off the bottom there, that cream cheese there. And move it up. Move it up slowly, because it's going to splash on your black outfit. Okay. Put it down to low, and I'm going to slowly add it in. And now we just make whipped cream, that's all. You already got your sugar in there. It's not going to be that sweet, because everything else is. I mean, why overdo it, right? Too much of a good thing, as they say. Because this needs a little bit more of a base, because it's got that heavy cream cheese in there, I need those little bubbles to form. I'm going to let it go for a while on a medium low and get those bubbles as a foundation of the cream cheese. That's right, cream cheese has a foundation. I'm telling you. Do the old scrape off the bottom thing, because pretty much once you get this going and you get into the whipped cream mode, you don't want to be scraping and stopping. You just want to let it go. And then we're going to take out this pudding from the freezer and take out our cake that's already in that cake pan, as we know. Springform cake pan, as you know. We all know. We all know as we know. And I just want to make sure this is well off the bottom, because these KitchenAids aren't that great at that. Nothing better in the kitchen than your 2 hands as your tools. That's what they say, and I'm beginning to think they're right. And now we're just going to let it go. When you get close to the stiff peaks, you want to add this 2 teaspoons of vanilla in there and then let it go to the end. And then you just pour everything on. I'm going to put this on top, make it pretty, get in there, and then chill it for maybe 2-3 hours or whenever you're ready. Okay, it started to form a little bit. So I got this vanilla extract in there, and I'm going to move it up again. All the way up, baby. There you go, see? That peak ain't going nowhere, dude. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. All right, I'm going to keep this aside for now. Now we're going to put this thing together. Everything's been chilling, and I mean chilling, man. Hello. I forgot to take the saran wrap off. See, it shrunk, but that's leaving room for the pudding that we're going to put on top. So that's okay. It's nice and soft. I'm telling you, this is great. All right, so let's put this here. Okay, I have taken the pudding out of the freezer. Nice consistency. I'm liking this, but I have to loosen it up a little bit, folks, and just go ahead and pour that on top. Oh, baby. Don't push down too hard. Remember your temperamental friend, those whipped egg whites and that cake. Let me show you where we're at. Let me get this off my finger. I don't want to move it around too much, but that'll give you an idea, right? Oh, baby, look at that. Woo! It's got that jiggle that I like. So let's put this back in the fridge, and we're going to keep it in here about a half hour. Not a big deal. Let it, you know, as Emerald used to say, let it get happy again. And same thing with the whipped cream, okay? Let's keep that cold. And we'll come back and finish it off. Take a look. All right, I jumped the gun a little on you, but I'm going to show it to you. I cut a piece out. I put that whipped topping right on top of that pie, cake, whatever you want to call it. I took a piece out to show you the inside. It's adorable. And you know what? Speaking of adorable, I tend to get that way on Instagram.
It is now 11 o'clock and I'm fed up and tired.
Can't get a break. Anyway, I had to taste it, you know, because I'm a professional before I came on the air here. And it was unbelievable. And again, I wanted to show you the layers there. You see that? Can you see it? Yeah. I'll take another little edge, but I've been chipping along at this thing, you know, off camera. Whew. Mississippi. Thank you, Mississippi. I add a little red velvet to the whole story. I hope you didn't mind. But this is really good stuff. Folks, you can do this. I am Chef Sal. Please subscribe. I think right here. Yeah. Hit the bell. We're coming back next week with another one of the 50th most Googled recipes in the world. All right. In the U.S. Anyway, again, I'm Chef Sal on Chef Sal's Crazy Cooking Show. We'll see you next time.